Welcome to Spotlight Sessions, where we shine
What's
a
your
light on
story?
incredible. What does accessibility mean to you?
What's your mission? Welcome all to accessiBe's Spotlight Sessions, where we shine a light on incredible individuals and organizations and the work that they do. I'm your host, Josh Basil. I'm a C4-5 quadriplegic paralyzed below my shoulders and a power wheelchair user. I'm the Community Relations Manager at accessiBe and a passionate disability rights advocate and trial attorney focused on breaking down barriers to access and inclusion for people with disabilities. Today on accessiBe's Spotlight Sessions, we are joined by Heather Seckinger, a board member of ME International. Welcome, Heather.
Hi.
I'm excited to have you on today's show and to learn more about you, the incredible work of ME International. So let's just dive into it. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
So I have had ME, which stands for Myalgic Encephalomyelitis, since I was 15. So my life has been a little bit on hold. I managed to complete a bachelor's degree, but I didn't end up doing much with it. I have to live with my mother, who helps me maintain my day-to-day life. And I'm actually doing this interview from my bed, which is unfortunately where a lot of the people with this disease end up. So,
and tell us a little bit more about ME and kind of does it range for different people? Is there?
So there's all the way from mild to very severe. So you have mild people who can still work and still basically maintain their normal lives. And then you have people very severe who may be tube fed. They have to be in darkened rooms with earphones on. It's a disease that actually affects it affects your mitochondria, neurological, cardiac, all types of dysfunction, immune dysfunction. It causes hundreds of symptoms. So it's really kind of hard to pin down sometimes, but mild people may just feel, it's an exertion intolerance disease. So basically you may feel or be able to do something, but you get payback for it. So once you do it, you will end up exhausted, flu-like symptoms, unable to move. Some people have problems with their cognitive functioning, their executive functioning. So it really affects the whole body.
And so with ME International, tell us a little bit more about the work that you're doing with them.
So we're an all volunteer organization, and our goal is we aim to provide information for patients, medical professionals, providers, researchers, governments. And our goal is to make sure that all patients are screened with something called the IC primer, which is a primer based on the international consensus criteria. And so we're trying to get that into the hands of doctors. And then we have a lot of support system type things for patients.
And tell us more about those support systems and where patients can go to be a part of learning about this and have those conversations.
Yeah, so we have a website. It's me-international.org, and you can find all of our things on there. We have an active presence on Facebook. We actually use Facebook chat, Facebook rooms features to create chat rooms that we have every day for people, because a lot of people are isolated, they're housebound, they're bedbound, and some of them don't see anyone. And so it's a place for people to come and make friendships and make some social support networks. And we also have a lot of great information on our website, information on communicating with your doctor, papers and pamphlets you can take to the doctor with you, all kinds of information about what ME is, what are some things to look out for, copies of the primer that can be printed from there. We also have a patient relief fund, which is for patients who find themselves financially burdened, or maybe doesn't have to be financially. It could be maybe they have a bunch of paperwork to fill out and they're unable to get the papers filled out and they need someone to help them maybe say what they want to say and have somebody else type it out for them, or finding resources within their community for certain things. And we have a caring card club, which is basically a bunch of members have given their addresses, and we send out a monthly email with everybody's birthday for that month. And so people can get birthday cards from people and things of that nature.
It's so nice to hear about kind of communities coming together and to have each other's backs. And like when it comes to, and there's so many different disability populations, different abilities, disabilities, functionalities, conditions, you name it. But like coming together, having that common voice, like I speak spinal cord and I know you speak ME, and everybody that joins that group speaks ME. And like, can you tell us a little bit more about kind of the importance of community involvement, community building, and finding your group. It doesn't mean that you have to have your one specific group, but like the power of coming together.
Yeah, I might be a little biased. I think we have the best community. Our community is we're so incredibly therefore we have a really strong community on social media platforms, and within it together, everybody's always trying to do with what energy they might have, putting it forth towards the community. It's really important because a lot of us have been dismissed because the disease is really hard to pin down. There's no biomarker, there's no test for it. So it's really difficult for a diagnosis. And a lot of times some of the symptoms can resemble something like depression or something like that. And so historically, we've been written off a bit by doctors. There's nothing about it in the medical curriculum. It's not taught about in medical curriculum at this time. So doctors really don't know anything about it. And, we need doctors, but sometimes doctors tend to get in their own heads about what they know, and that if they don't understand or they don't know about it, maybe it doesn't exist, or they're not into learning more about it. And so a lot of us have been really treated badly by the medical community. And so we only really have ourselves to look for research and answers, to find out about new treatments. I just had a doctor yesterday, and he told me straight up, he was great, but he said, I don't really know anything about it. And I said, okay, good. Cause that's why I bought you 40 pieces of paper for you to look over. So it's really important that we have each other to sort of arm ourselves and keep ourselves in the loop so that we can go out and take it on to the medical community and try to teach them.
It's weird how that is, but it really is the system of medical care. Most medical professionals know how to, like, they only have a certain amount of time in med school learning about different disability groups and populations, and unless they specialize in that unique group, they have that more generalized kind of feel of different patients that they take care of. I know the same for me as a spinal cord injury. Like, the doctors that I go to don't know much about spinal cord injury. They probably had 1 to 2 hours of training during medical school about it. And that's it. So a lot of the times as a patient, as a new client, you come in and you're there to help educate them and to make sure you give them the most digestible information possible and point them in directions where they might need to go to get updated information. But like with ME, you're saying that there's so much that unknown about it, or not really even. So it's like it's like my unique situation, but kind of to the next level, which is interesting.
And there's thousands. I mean, if you do like a PubMed search, PubMed being one of the journals, a way it stores medical journals, and you can do through there. And there's thousands and thousands of journal articles, but when are they going to cover them? And they just don't have the time. So if you can take in a specific journal article that relates to what problems you need addressing, and because our symptoms range from, head to toe. They're in the brain, they're in the body, they're in every organ, every system that there is. It's really hard. And yeah, like you said, they just don't have the time. They just, you need an hour or two to be able to even get to the start of beginning to describe all of your symptoms. So another thing that ME International has is we have a sheet and you can color code it with highlighters on which symptoms you have, which symptoms you've experienced in the past, and which symptoms are your biggest problem. And it's a huge symptom list, but that way you can take it in and the doctor can very quickly see it. They can identify what you're really struggling with at that time, and they can help you do it right there.
That's awesome.
So,
That's great, and that's a powerful tool to put in the hands of the community so that they can become their own best advocate. I know for myself, when I had my spinal cord injury, like I quickly learned that nobody would fight harder for me than I'm going to fight for myself in my lifetime. And I can't flip a switch and turn off a spinal cord injury. So with that, I need to learn everything I can about myself. I need to be able to teach others about my unique world. And the more and more you can do both of those things, you end up having better outcomes. And this is for anybody with any type of ability or disability. It's, learning how to advocate for yourself is so important.
Yes.
And with ME International, I know that's what your community is really teaching each other as well. And
yes,
as a board member, as a board of director of ME International, what does that look like?
So we have our board meetings that we have every couple of months. And we're really in the beginning stages. The nonprofit's only been around for about 3 years. So we're still getting all of those board things. The way we conduct the businesses are basic rules and regulations type of things set down, policies and things like that. We're still getting all of those established. And I personally, I do the chat room. I run a chat room actually 8 times a week. I do 2 on Wednesday, and I do that for their 2-hour time slots. And we all have different, it's great because we all bring a little bit something different to the table, and we all have a little bit of specialty in some area. We just have a couple board members who got done revamping our website. So that was fantastic. And so I do more of like the social. I've always been quite a talker. So I do sort of the social, interactions. And so that's my biggest responsibility. And then I do a lot of outreach because I'm within the community a lot of social media and things like that. So it's just a constant, just reaching out to people and saying like, hey, how are you? Are you okay? Is there anything that I can do to help, or do you just need to vent? Do you want to call me? So most of my time is spent doing things like that. Right now, we're coming into the holiday season and we've organized a gift exchange. So that's something I think I like to do. The fun stuff is what I call it. And so I'm doing the gift exchange right now. So I'm just getting all of that, and the registration will close on Wednesday. So we're just kind of getting those things out going. But mostly I'm just sort of a sounding board for anybody that maybe wants to talk. And I also work on we have a marketing committee, a fundraising committee. I chair the relief committee, which I mentioned before, for patients that find themselves in need of something. And I also work on the fundraising committee. And so that's always a challenge because we're all sort of very much amateurs at it. And so we're kind of learning the ropes of figuring out how to grant write. And we have a former board member who has volunteered. She thought she could better spend her time learning how to grant write. So she's kind of thrown herself into the grant writing process. And we were really lucky to receive a grant last year. So that's how we've been able to start the relief committee and really get to working and get some resources out to people.
That's awesome. And with ME International, what's an accomplishment that you're most proud of?
Probably getting the chat rooms established. Either that or the relief committee. Both are kind of like my babies. They're both really special to me. I've made my best friends through the chat group. my social circle had shrunk. I had gotten really sick to the point where I was really only out of bed to use the restroom for a couple of years. And so my social circle, and I moved back with my mother in a couple hours from where I grew up. So my social circle had really shrunk, and I really didn't have that group of, the friendships that I'd had before. And so now my best friends are in the chat room. So every day I show up, I just never know who I'm going to run into, but it's great. And I have them all to talk to. And I think a lot of people in the chat room have found friendships and, you meet certain people that you maybe gravitate more towards. And so then those people can continue a more personal one-on-one relationship, amongst themselves. And so that's definitely, that and the relief committee, we've been able to help. Some of the things we've been able to help, we had a lady who was under threat of her animals being taken after a cable man came in the house and saw sort of the state the house was in. And we had somebody else who, an artist who was in need of a printer to be able to be more self-sufficient in their art and be able to reproduce their art so that they could sell it. We had another lady who had her home cleaned. Another lady, I had to reach out to another nonprofit on her behalf to speak with them about something. So we're just there to provide, any type of assistance. We've fed somebody's service dog food for a month. We've paid somebody else's electrical bill. So just little things. We can't do a whole lot. I mean, we're still small as far as funds go, but we're, we can help in bits and pieces.
Making a difference.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And then with the outside world being kind of what it is, I always love to ask people, what does accessibility mean to you?
So accessibility to our community, it means a lot of the same things that it might mean to you, perhaps, like we need better walkways, we need more mobility accessible. A lot of people in the community use mobility scooters, and so we need restaurants, we need shops that we can get in and out of, we need handicapped parking, with things like that. And also for us though too, there's so many people who are trapped at home, and COVID did a world of wonder for a lot of us, because it's a horrible tragedy, but it things like telehealth, doctor, people willing to, practice out of the office, all of those things that COVID, gave us, things like Zoom, the ability, I mean, Zoom was there, but for Zoom to become this, known thing, I mean, and the Facebook would never have established these chat rooms that it's established, these rooms, if it wasn't trying to compete with Zoom for people needing social outlets. So I mean, accessibility just means meeting us. We need more doctors who are willing to come into the home. We need dental care for those people who just can't get out.
And that's it resonates so much with me, everything that you're saying. Like I get it. It makes, I'm so glad that we're able to share this with more people, and especially kind of the unique world of ME as well. Like, I would love to know, like, if you had one message to business owners about why they should cater to the ME community, what would it be and why?
Well, we're very loyal and we talk a lot amongst each other. So if you've treated us well, we are ready to step up, and I mean, we will blast you out there. And I mean, and we really need online buying is like a huge thing. And I mean, and if you're willing to work, with us on things, a lot of us really would like to support small businesses, and that makes it's a little difficult because either they're not online, or their ease of returns and things like that. And we just need things to be easy, but we're a very loyal and close-knit group of people. So if you get one of us, there's a good chance that with one of us is going to come many of us. So
That's a great message to send to business owners. And Heather, I just want to thank you so much for being on accessiBe's Spotlight Sessions today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
And for all of our guests that have stayed to the end, thank you so much for being here. Until next time, everyone, take care.
Thanks, Josh. Bye.